All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first edition of the Pod of Geese. I'm going to be the host. I'm Luciano, and I'm joined here with your two favorite Portuguese speaking players, NNA. We got Saki,
Hey, what's up, everyone?
and we've got Josh.
Yo, Sir Brazilian boy on the voice.
The best
and so,
Brazilian player in the league.
I guess, Josh, what was kind of the basis for starting Pod of Geese?
We actually, me and Saki, was talking a long ago about doing this just as a meme,
Hmm.
but we actually ended up doing this, and we were like, we need a host and hoster and stuff from the NA people on the league, and we picked you. So that's how we end up here, pretty much.
That's a rough choice there. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I think we should just jump into our first segment here. So the first thing we're gonna cover is some standings analysis. If you take a look at the standings, you'll see it ended up with the Morons on top, Square second, followed by the Bees, CCK, Straw Hats, and then that's the end of the playoff group, and then you've got the Knights, Winter, and Backwoodsmen. Josh, did you expect this? Did you expect the Morons to be on top as a member of the team?
Um, Actually, yes. I mean, I expected us to do the with the original line. We started on week one, but it wasn't possible for some reasons. But yeah, the standings are pretty much how expected. Expect for I mean, not really the standings,
Mm-hmm.
but the playoff teams.
Right.
Except by maybe Winter, which I was expecting to do that over CCK.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, pretty
No.
much the first two seed is what I expected, like between us and Squares.
Yeah, the Winter definitely had a strong start. It was weird to see them tail off towards the end of the season, aside from a late win against the Squares. Saki, did you expect the Beast to end in third? What
Um,
what what happened there,
not
man?
not at all. Not at all. In the beginning of season, like we had a really bad beginning of season.
Hmm.
And we were almost like we were in danger of not making playoffs.
Right.
But somehow we started to get our momentum back up, and we managed to get third. Although, like I was expecting us at the beginning of the season to get like fourth or fifth. I didn't expect us to be third. That was kind of lucky, I have to say, because of the whole situation that happened with Paddy and etc.
Yeah. I think without that petty situation, CCK plays that other game, and they probably pick up at least a point.
Yeah, and they get
Which
the third place for sure.
right, which would have put them above y'all. And so that's interesting to see how that panned out. With everything.
One situation that I'm actually surprised about is the
Hmm.
Straw Hats going fifth. And I was, in my opinion, at the beginning of the season, they were top three team.
Right.
In my opinion, the standings will be Morons or Squares first, and then I mean Morons or Squares first or second, and then the Straw Hats third. I think
Right.
they're like a bad regular season, but let's see what they can bring in playoffs.
Yeah, I actually didn't expect the Straw Hats to make the play-in. I thought they would be on at least on the third position, like that would make them get a bye on the first round. But I think that Luke situation stuff
Mhm.
just fucked them a bit.
Yeah, I think the Luffy situation is definitely I almost forget about that most of the time. But I think early season personally, given how the winter started out, I actually had them coming third behind like squares
Yeah,
slash morons. And then I was
but
gonna have like a toss up between straw hats and bees.
pretty
Uh,
much one thing implicating on the other, because since Luffy was banned,
hmm.
they had to look up for a GK, and I think Crow is pretty close to Fineria,
Yeah.
so a huge
Yeah.
offensive power. Winter had in Fineria, which was probably uh, the team's MVP alongside with Lucky. End up going to another team, so it
Right.
was a huge drop from them. I mean, Snoozy joined later
Yeah.
as a starter, but it wasn't the same because he hadn't played like the full season, so it impacts really much on team's play style.
Yeah. It was a little bit of too little, too late. And I know from season two that Crow can be a little bit of a groomer for Fenaria. So I relate to Luke in that sense. So like, did you have anything else on the standings?
Overall, yeah, that's it. Like the only surprise I really thought was the Strawwets and maybe the Winter. But although the Winter was like, I guess it was like a close battle with us,
Mm-hmm.
like mid-season. So like
Yeah.
those two games that we played we played the same day, like the normal one and the reschedule.
Yeah.
And I guess that really defined like both our places in the league.
Right.
I think that night made like both teams the destiny of like making playoffs or not making playoffs.
Yeah. I think
Although
oh yeah, go ahead.
I would like the rest, like the Backwoodsmen, I expected them to go last.
Yeah, for sure.
And the Knights, I didn't expect them to make the playoffs either. Although the Knights did show like some nice gameplay throughout the games.
Yeah. I think kind of my final note on the whole thing is that I personally was disappointed in the Squares performance this season. I expected a little better out of us, especially in the middle of the season and like against the Winter late. But then, as far as the lower teams, the Winter 7th seems a little unfair to their season. But to
Yeah,
be
pretty
fair,
much.
the Knights kind of came out of nowhere and had a lot of strong performances. Really led, I think personally, on the back of Shot and TGFP trying to bring in some of the stuff they kind of gained playing with the E4 with under really TGFP with just me, but Shot was there with me under Carl, etc. So he got the whole back into the Squares, and he tried to make that work with the Knights.
They actually got like huge wins late season now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember like early mid season they been the last two alongside with Backwoodsman.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up at 2 wins to make the play-in for playoffs.
Yeah. So certainly an interesting season from them, and we will touch back on them in just a sec, because I want to go ahead and transition us into the D1 teams analysis. So I'm thinking with the standings we can go from the top down. Starting with the Morons. Let's take a look at their roster and how they've performed this season. Josh, do you want to cover the Morons for us?
Yeah, that's for sure. I have probably to say like about that team. So
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, we started pretty much everyone know we started like the season with a different lineup.
Mm-hmm.
That we have returning back, Will Lindros coming back to play and stuff. I think that's what pretty much motivated all of us to get back playing. So after that first week, it pretty much collapsed and happened some stuff. I'm not getting to that right now, but
Right.
we all were pretty pissed and wouldn't get like after losing a game, we lost that game to 1 to Winter. So we pretty much talk and got our shit together and like put some options in there. And Pixel said he will ask Chris to play, and he was probably on another team that I'll let you release there. I think it was Knights.
Yeah.
And he joined us, yeah.
Or I think no, it was CCK. He was on CCK, I think.
Oh, CCK, yeah, okay. Then we signed like the two eligible players, which was Rich and KPA.
Mm-hmm.
And late season, like a bit before the Rust lockup, we got Ron to 5th man, which is a pretty good addition because
For sure.
Yeah, you
He's
guys been doing really well. With
yeah,
Colin.
he's a pretty much well-rounded player.
Mm-hmm.
Can play pretty much any position, and has a good knowledge about the game. So
For sure. Yeah, and Rich specifically came up big in that he guys had that OT win against the Bees.
Yeah.
And with that that 7-second overtime was wild. Yeah, that goal is
to be honest, pretty much all of our overtime wins the season has been like in less than 2 minutes.
yeah.
I can remind of like 3 or 4 wins with scoring in less than a minute in overtime.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how quick y'all are in OT, especially this season. I guess now I will go ahead and touch on the Squares a little bit. So kind of the whole season we've had the same lineup. We've had me and Jamar at forward, Under at mid, and Carlitos at GK. Same lineup you saw in the E4, and only even a slight change from a season before the champ Squares. Just switching out kind of slap with slap/hash with Jamar. And so yeah, we've had lots of ups and downs this season. Definitely had some locker room drama late, actually in the past week or so that we're working through. But yeah, mid-season we were struggling a little bit. We've had some poor performances, but I think in the end, second place is something we can be satisfied with, and just look forward to playing the Bees. Speaking of the Bees, Saki,
Yeah.
what can you tell me about the Bees, man?
So the Bees are probably the team that has the best locker room in the whole league.
Okay, man.
I'm just saying that even you said it, like you had problems in the locker room. We never have problems. We even with like a rough start, like we started off like pretty bad this season, and even then, like we knew what we were capable of, and we know that we were gonna be able to bounce back, and that's what happened. Although it was kind of lucky for us to get third place, but I think that Davi and us have like really progressed together, like throughout the regular season. Because if you see WNS play at the beginning of the season and comparing to now the final season, they're playing really different and they're playing really better.
That's true.
So I
Yo,
do I do believe that we deserve the third place.
Yeah, I actually just have one question for you, Saki, regarding the locker room thing. Do you have is X Starstruck in your locker room, dude? Star season 1 MVP?
Star is not in our locker.
Oh.
He is not in.
That's weird, man. I don't know how you can have the best locker room and not have Star in there. It's kind of weird,
but
man.
I have Nano, so Nano is the best.
Fucking Nan who, dude?
Nano,
Oh yeah, well we have Nantes, dude. Nice try, man. You did your best. Go Squares, baby. Let's go.
No. We have this. Tell me one time when do you see this tilt or say anything bad to
I didn't hear Dis say anything in the Peaches locker room. I don't know how Dis is, but I know he gets along with Yas pretty well. And anyway, y'all don't have Star. Y'all don't have Star, so you know whatever.
Yeah. But we have a better group anyways. So.
Yeah. Okay, man. Anyway,
I'm more choked about.
Yeah.
Do what, Josh?
I'm more choked about hearing about a team with no drama locker room. I didn't even thought that existed. So
I don't think it does. I think Saki's exaggerating here.
I'm kind of choked right now.
I am not exaggerating.
I don't buy it, man. I don't buy it for a second, dude.
I will not show conversation in the locker room because we don't want to like leak our playoff strategy.
Oh, your high level strats. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sure.
I already have like 50 pages on under. Like,
oh my god. Yo,
I'm just saying.
Good luck, man. We prepare by getting on and scrimming an hour before games. Let's talk a little bit about CCK now. So, I've noticed that they've done a lot of shifting with their lineup. Like, they've shared a lot of time between these 5 players, between Taziek, Splat, Flare, Puge, and Petty. Now, obviously, Flare has some minutes from the Knights prior in the season, but yeah, they've been, to me, a weird team because it's hard to know who's midding and GKing half the time, and like they do all kinds of weird shit on the field. So I don't know, what were y'all experiences with them?
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
No, you.
Okay. You talk after because you probably can tell more about the Euro players, but what I can see about this team is like pretty much all I can see about all the mostly Euros team like playing in North America. They're pretty talented, but I don't see them holding a series without tilting with each other or with the general game and other team systems, So they might collapse like really early in the series.
Yeah. Like I mean, if you the team, well, the CCK have like players that are usually talented. Like Tazek is really good, Splat's really good. I mean, there's like literally no one in that cluster that cannot play X1. They're all really good. The problem is, I think they're the team that has most problems between like in the locker room. They are the team that have the most problems this year. Like Tazek doesn't really go well with Splat. Fusion is. I don't know how he works out in that team, to be honest.
Fusion's just a goof, man.
Yeah, and Flat as well. Like I just don't know how they work in that team. Although like they made it work somehow in some way. Like because we all saw how they play defense. Like we saw sometimes Flat not even defending.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm just surprised they made playoffs. To be honest, I didn't think they were gonna make playoffs playing like that.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the locker room. I think it's worth tipping our hats to Puge and Splat because in the wake of the petty, in the petty drama and the fallout in his band, they've managed to stay together and still keep a competitive lineup. And so I was thinking that they completely crumble. Like there were discussions among the staff in SPHB about whether we'd have to like completely compensate Puge for all of the Euros leaving. Like that's what we expected. So I think it's really impressive that they managed to keep something together and even bring Hulk back to rejoin them.
I think that's a really positive sign for the team for playoffs.
For sure.
Because Hulk has already played playoffs. Yeah, he played the semis and played finals last season.
Yes.
With the Zyklon Bees. So he already is. Let's say that he has the experience in that team.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Even in skill wise, even Petty. I mean, in my opinion, I'll take Hulk any day.
Right.
But I don't know how it's gonna work out in the locker room.
Yeah,
because I don't think Taz, X-Fat, and Hulk will just go well.
Well,
they do.
They've got to be careful not to macro, because otherwise it's going to set Hulk off. I know this myself.
You went to go that way, yeah.
But
the thing is, they like started bad, like early season.
Yeah.
Mid season they got their shit together and they like got really huge wins, which landed them on the playoff spot. But I don't know how much of this late season drama is gonna impact on them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's pretty much huge talent there, and players that are used to like play playoffs and stuff and decisive games on Europe. But I don't know how that's gonna end up.
Yeah.
And even if you go back and watch their games, you know that they're a team that heavily relied in Splat scoring those 1v1s.
Yeah. And Splat's great at 1v1s.
CCK will not be where they are now.
Splat,
but that's the thing though. It's like a double-edged sword. He can score those 2v1 or those 1v1s and have those 1v1s frequently, but he leaves depth. Like he basically doesn't defend at all.
Yeah, so
it can really go both ways. Like
I mean, there's no balance at all. You gotta find the midterm on that.
And in playoffs, like starting 1v1 is gonna be much harder.
For sure. And yeah, so Splat, obviously, arguably the best 1v1er in the league, in my opinion. And so he's been massive. But, for them, in my opinion, the big surprise has been Puge, who's really kind of grown into this forward role and performed really well there. And, interestingly, Puge has a lot of ties with Crow and that whole crew, having played with the Rustlers before, kind of only finding his forward role with this current team and late in the Rustlers' career last season. And so on that note, I'd like to kind of pivot us into the Straw Hats and talk about what's going on there. We've got like the tried and true, 2 seasons now, Crow, Scott, Thunder lineup, along with now Fenaria, originally Luffy, and shortly replaced by Ace. What do y'all see in that team?
I see a playoff team. I see a contender. Like it's players that have a lot of experience between them.
Yeah.
Let's say that the main problem that they had the whole season was getting a GK. And now they got Fenaria. And Fenaria is an amazing GK, to be honest. He has an amazing offense presence. He can defend. He's always well positioned. So I think they're gonna show a different Straw Hats than they did in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean they've got 3 cups between Thunder and Scott, if I'm counting correctly, and so they've clearly got the playoff experience to last it out. Josh, do you have any thoughts on the Straw Hats?
Yeah, what I see here is the players that know how to play with each other and who's built a good chemistry and know their game plan. So they got a pretty similar game style because Fener has played with Crow in the backline in seasons ago, and so has Scott and Thunder being forward partners.
Yes.
And I think it's their second season with the core lineup, like without the GK. So
yeah,
it's not a team you're gonna see them do bad, probably.
Right.
Because they are pretty consistent. And in my point of view, you're not gonna see them like blow on another team, like going huge, So I think they're pretty much a solid team and consistent, But
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that kind of wraps up all of the teams that are in the playoffs. Let's take a brief moment and talk about the few that didn't quite make it, some of the stars on these teams, and what may have gone wrong for them. So let's talk about first the Knights, who I think by either head to head or total wins in the season, regulation wins, they ended up. No, it must have been head to head. They ended up beating the Winter into the 6th spot. So let's talk about the Knights for a second. Who do y'all see in that lineup that's kind of important for them? Obviously, remember that Flair was originally with them.
Yeah, I mean, the Knights losing Flair was a big loss, a huge loss, because Flair was really important in their lineup for
Mhm.
sure. But I think that Liam was probably the one that kept the Ross together and managed to get that 6th place. I think that Liam was the best player in their team.
Liam,
I mean,
yeah, go ahead, Josh.
I don't know really much about D2. Like, I don't see it closer as CD1, but the core of the team is pretty dominant on D2, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Shot
Yeah,
doesn't play D2 though.
yeah. That was the point I was getting to. Like they got a solid core from D2, like dominant, but the difference, like, from the D1 hoster is on Shot, because
Yeah,
I see him being the player on the roster for a D1, who can make a difference in the game. Like,
yeah. I 100% agree with you, Josh. I think that Shot is one of the most underrated forwards in the league.
Yeah,
We saw how big he was for the Elite Four. Like, my team managed to hold first, but there was a lot of fluctuations between our forwards. It was switching between Shot, TGFP, and Nantes. We never really got the system down. I'm not near as good as Under, and yet Shot, Jamar, and Jamar kind of helped to solidify me a lot of the time as that team grew, and so Shot is truly one of the most underrated forwards. He's always on rough
yeah,
teams, but makes a massive difference, and I don't know why people don't give him any shouts. He's
yeah.
great.
If I remember back to season 1, Josh remembers as well.
yeah,
Josh, I mean,
Trains.
Shot was the trains. Shot was a really good player. Like he could do everything, and it was something. He was someone that I could rely on as
Mm-hmm.
defensive wise or offensive wise. He
Absolutely.
was solid
on top
everywhere.
of, like, on season one, when team up together on trains,
Yeah,
he held the team together
for sure.
during the regular season.
Yeah.
The team probably would have imploded without him.
And he was
Like,
supposed to be low availability too. That's what's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
he was front runner for MVP on that season as well, if I'm not mistaken. Uh,
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, in my
he's also
opinion, Shot could take the spots of some of those players, those 10 forwards on the top 5 teams, in my
yeah,
opinion.
for sure.
But
He's
yeah. So he's the star for me. So let's talk a little bit about the Winter. Obviously, the most perilous team that didn't make the playoffs. We kind of touched on what happened there. I've seen it behind the scenes a little bit. I feel like for me, it's been a little bit of Luke not caring about Hacksball, which is fair. He's kind of over it. He's busy fragging out playing Tarkov. But also the drama of El Jefe has taken a toll on this team. What have y'all seen with all that?
um, I
um,
you
you go
know
ahead, Sai.
okay. The winter I mean, the winter started really well the
Right.
season, and they were playing really well. But but it was always that it was gonna happen. Like Jeff was gonna create problems throughout the regular season, and that's what happened. And uh, and let's say that their lineup, I don't think that Jeff was a good pick for them. Although rather, I think like if Snozy played instead of Jeff, like I mean the entirety of the season, they would have played a lot better.
For sure. Yeah.
Anyway, I think and Fanaria leaving. Fanaria leaving the winter was probably the hugest loss and of all teams in regular season. They literally lost so much offensive presence with Fanaria leaving,
Right.
and it just ended up with them going to 7th place, which is really surprising.
Yeah, that's true. Josh, what are your thoughts on it?
So what I think is, Arisaki, like, Funera leaving is a huge gap they couldn't fill for the season. And you align that with the fact that Half is a not really reliable player, so they
Mm-hmm.
got half of her lineup for the season. That pretty much fucked them. Um, they had to play a lot of their games, if I'm not mistaken, with their D2 players,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the two eligible. So yeah, I kind of feel bad for Lucky because he had a good season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
and for my buy sell, whom I like very much.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that kind of stuff, like losing a huge impact player and not being able to rely on none of your other star players can pretty much fuck a team. So I think that what happened to them.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Now let's touch on the last team, very last in the standings, which I think we touched on. We all expected was the Blue Ridge Backwoodsmen. I'm gonna get some shit from that from Daisy, but for them, really kind of exactly what I expected this season. You look at some of their goal differentials: Lucas with a -38, Nap -37, Metro -34. I think this is very expected, getting on stat padded on by the top teams. Only really contending with a a team or two, maybe like a lucky night they'd have a good game. The only player there that I see with a ton of D1 potential at all is like Lucas, and he is their GM. So he's shown some promise, but overall it's a D2 roster and a D1 game, and it's not going to go well for them.
Yeah. Although I respect it because like even though they had such a terrible season,
Mhm.
I don't think that their locker room was so bad. Like I think they were actually like really cool with each other.
No, for sure,
Like I think they're like a really good group.
for sure.
Like I don't think they tilted much. So that's something that many teams can take from them. Mainly the
think
top one teams.
The
They
biggest
were
problem with that team is like they're probably, I can be wrong, but they're probably more focused on D2 than on actually making trying the D1.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
It's
were way more
'cause
focused. Yeah, on
you
D2.
could see they started trying like first games early season, even though they lost most of them. But at some point, like they actually realized they couldn't make like playoffs. I don't know,
Mhm.
and that kind of they kind of gave up on the season at some point, and was like early in the season. So that will lead to pretty much other teams start betting on them and stuff.
Right.
But I could see some potential in some players. So I really do like Metro.
I love
Uh,
Metro. Great guy.
yeah, I mean, despite being a really chill guy, I see good potential in him. If
Okay,
he could make to a good
Yeah.
team
that's fair.
and stuff, and people who could lead him, I think he could make to a good young player.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I think the main thing on this team is like caring more about the two and kind of giving up on the one.
Yeah, they kind of had a chill locker room environment, which I respect, because if it's better than to just stop showing. That's the worst thing you can
Yeah,
do
for
in
sure.
Yeah, yeah,
SPHB.
yeah, yeah. That's for sure.
So I respect them for sticking it out
Yeah.
and fighting
But
through it
luckily,
and having a
it
good
was a
locker room.
it was a nice experience for the Backwoodsmen to play D1 this season.
Yeah, and I'm sure they improved a little bit at least, if
For
not
sure.
in actual D1 play through scrims. But with that said, that kind of wraps up our D1 teams analysis. Let's jump into some playoff matchups. So first, let's go and talk about that play-in. We're gonna focus on D1 here, and so we got the Straw Hats and CCK. What are you guys looking at there? What do you expect to happen?
I'm expecting the Straw Hats to win it 2-0.
Oh, you
Um,
see a Straw Hat sweep. Okay.
Yeah, Straw Hats, I just see Straw Hats sweeping. I don't think there is a way that the CCK are gonna even score on them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like even if you look at the regular season, out of like the top 5 teams,
Mhm.
like we have the Mormons, which like considered like 5 goals, I think, or something like that, and
Yeah, it was
by
fun.
far the CC, yeah, and like the Squares have 13 goals conceded, the Bees have 12, the Straw Hats have 12, and CCK has 21. 21 goals conceded. It's like by far the most goals conceded of any playoff team. And
Right.
That makes their
uh,
the second worst defense on the league.
yeah, for sure. It's a second worst defense. Like even the Winter and the Knights have less goals conceded. Only the Backwoodsmen have like 50 goals conceded, but that's as we touched
Right.
already.
I think it's worth mentioning, looking at the history of this season, and so I actually have it pulled up on my stats thing that I've done all that work on, and so I have that the Straw Hats beat CCK week 1, day 2, which we mentioned was a weak CCK team. They
Yeah.
weren't well equipped for that, and that was a Splat Taziak Moha Petty lineup versus Thunder Scott Crow Luffy. But if we look forward to week 5, day 1, we see that CCK actually took the win over the Straw Hats in overtime, with Huge, Splat, Taziek, and Petty versus the full Straw Hats lineup that we know now.
Yeah.
Actually with Thunder and GK though for the Straw
Who was
Hats.
the GK? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are reporting for them?
One thing I gotta say about the playoffs is playoffs are really based on defense. Like if you don't have a good defense, there's a slime chance that they're gonna make it to finals or even
Right.
semis.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem I see on CCK for sure. Because I'm pretty sure the Straw Hats are gonna come to the game really organized,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think they're gonna make many mistakes. Like for example, those split 1v1s happened on or
Okay.
any lucky bounce goals. So
Sure. Yeah. And, talking a little bit about strategy, the Straw Hats really like to, one of their big goals is to capitalize in like a loose ball out of defense. They try to 3-man on it and get a quick clear, a really strong clear on it. Alternatively, CCK very much has been like almost a 3-def team with Splat trying to get out there and get free goals. Because 1v1s are obviously his strong suit. I mean, Splat is a little bit of an offensive genius in my opinion, but especially in 1v1s, he's absolutely lethal.
Yeah.
And so
yeah,
and-
dangerous.
yeah, and one thing I gotta say is the Straw Hats really have to watch out with the CCK if
Yeah.
the CCK are down like 1 goal.
yeah,
It's like 1-0 in the series, like 1-0 in that specific game. If they're like in the CCK have nothing to lose and Splat starts basically not defending,
Yeah.
he might be able to get those 1v1s. So
yeah, and my thing is, with CCK, I personally hate playing a team like CCK in the playoffs because they are a loose cannon. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
I
for
hate
sure.
that. I can't stand it, and so that's an issue I have.
Yeah, they kind of all in, and that normally doesn't pay off, but it can at certain points. So, but I agree with Saki. I see a sweep by the Straw Hats to 2-0 as well.
Okay, so yeah,
I think the main point on this series is on Crow, and he's more than talented and intelligent to take advantage of CCK flow defense.
yeah, I
Uh,
agree.
I mean, the Straw Hats, especially Crow, but the Forest as well, Thunder, Skabala, are actually really good at finding gaps and stuff. And for sure, that's gonna happen with that defense. The main point here is the mental game. I think if Straw Hats can stay tight on defense and play their corner game on the right points, they're gonna probably make CCK collapse and tilt with that kind of game. So if they stay tight with the ghost kicks and stuff and that bullshit, and hold it in 1v1s of Splat, which Finner is way more than capable of, I think they're gonna win without any problem. 2-0.
All right, so I just want to submit our takes. So both of you have the Straw Hats 2-0, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's yours?
I'm going to throw mine in. I'm going to say Straw Hats. I agree Straw Hats are going to win. I think 2-1. I think CCK, the loose cannon, is going to take, if I had to guess, the second game off of them because they'll get out there and they'll punish. There are some holes in the Straw Hats defense. Sometimes in transition, they can be a little, like, they cheat towards offense a little bit. So I think Splat is well equipped to take advantage of that and win one for CCK. So I see a 2-1 series to the Straw Hats. With that said, let's move on to our semifinal that's already set in stone. We've got the squares and the bees.
Where's in the bees?
So let's start with a third party before we get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Josh, what do you see in this series?
I should leave the beat for you guys, but I'm gonna give my shot on that. Saki, are you gonna play the series? I can
Yeah,
never.
I
We can
will,
never
I
know when
will.
Saki's gonna show for some playoff series.
I will. I'll be available. I'll be available to play the series.
Okay, so
It won't be
Well,
like this.
yeah, I'm asking that because we obviously seen in the season that there's a huge difference on the beast power when Saki's in.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much another team. It makes them get into another level. So but I'm gonna have to stay with the squares on the series 2-1. Yeah, I think
Yes.
their chemistry and their play style probably gonna work well against
Shit.
Beast
Fuck.
on this specific series. But I
Yeah.
see Beast probably winning a game. It's gonna be tough though. I predict like at least 2 overtimes.
Okay. Yeah.
What about you, Lucci? What's your opinion on this game?
My opinion. Well, I see
What is it?
the reality is, I see the squares winning. Shocker. I know. I know. I think the squares gonna win. I think that we've been a little rough lately. I think we
Yeah,
played a game
I know.
against y'all recently, right? Let me look here. So let's look at the history. I'll bring up the history real quick. So we have week 1, day 2. The squares took a 3-2 overtime win against the Dis Saki Dabi Yas lineup with a full squares. Which Saki, I've talked about him, talked to him about it before. He's always mentioned that he threw.
I did. And also the won the game, and you know it. But okay.
I don't remember much of the game, I'll be honest. But then the second matchup of the season, we didn't see Saki with the bees there. We saw Dis Mango Dabi Yas versus the full squares lineup, which that lineup managed to hold us to a 2-1 OT victory for the squares. And so I recall being disappointed after that game because I felt we should have won that in regulation with no Saki there. I still stand by that take. But given that Saki's there, I think the bees have a good shot of taking one off of us. It's a best of 3 series. You never know what's gonna happen. And so I'm gonna go with squares 2-1. Saki, where are you at?
Well, it's kind of obvious that I know that I firmly believe that we're gonna win semis.
Okay.
I'm 100% confident in my team. And like every time we played, I mean, I would only play versus in the beginning of the season, and even then, I already knew that what you guys were gonna do, and I
Yeah.
felt comfortable on countering it. So was my team. And let's say that if I did not throw that first game, you guys would have lost it.
Okay.
And I think
Yo,
that's gonna. Oh yeah, sure.
Saku's calling all the squares for being way too much predictable.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that's kind of fair. We do have a system that we've played 2 entire seasons and won the cup twice. So I hope people have kind of started to figure out what's going on there. But
I've already figured it out, to be honest. And
yeah.
The thing is, the bees I've figured it out, and they're gonna counter it really hard. I
I
won't
mean-
say counter. We're just gonna play it normally and let you guys implode your own defense.
Yeah,
And
I
we're
mean,
gonna win the series. As
Put
simple
our
as
own
that.
defense. Our defense is okay. So I think with no lag issues, I think we're rock solid defensively. The real question for me with my team is offensively what we can do, and that falls down to kind of under and Carlitos' Kim on the day, as well as some of the offensive diversity that backline brings, and the way that the forwards deliver passes. So there's a lot going on. We just have to be on our best to take the bees down swiftly.
Well,
I still think we're well equipped. Our defense is, I would say, top 2 in the league. Saki seems to see lots of holes in us, so I'll be interested to see how that goes. But yeah, I think I'm sticking with 2-1 squares. Saki, what's your full prediction?
2-1 for the bees.
Okay.
If you guys are able to take one off of us.
If we're okay, man.
Yeah. Because
If we're
I'm
able to take one off.
I'm pretty sure that Davi and Yas are gonna break in offense. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen.
If the number 2 team in the league can take one off.
Savage Portuguese.
Yeah.
Interesting to mention now that Saki's deciding to try to flame that the Bees actually have the least amount of standings points against the top 5 teams. They actually came out with only 8 points against the top 5 teams with a record of 1-1, 3-3, whereas the Morons had 18, Squares 15, CCK 10, and Straw Hats 9. So that's an interesting. Do what?
Yo, Luch, I
Even then,
I can feel the angry on your words right now.
I'm not angry.
I think you're pretty much prepared for that.
But even that, it's bringing up regular season.
I'm bringing up stats, baby.
Yeah, bringing up stats. The best of 3 in playoffs. Everything.
Yeah,
can happen.
everything changes. Yes.
I'm pretty sure that we're gonna win the series. I'm 100% confident in my team, and so is my team.
That's good. Everything goes out the window in a best of 3. It can go either way, no matter what 2 teams are playing. That's just the way Hacksball rolls. You never know.
Yeah.
Look at I don't know, season 3 Dynasty. fully expect them to crush the Namis, and what happened. So you never know in a best of 3. Saki's right. It's all about how you adapt, how you play on the day, and we'll see what happens. But so the final guesses were Josh and I had 2-1 squares and Saki had 2-1 Bs, rightfully so. And so let's move on to kind of our finals prediction. We can't really talk about it too much, and we'll do that more in depth next week. But given your own predictions, I guess the finals that Josh and I see are squares. Actually, sorry.
No,
We
wait,
need to address one more
talking
thing.
about the semifinals.
We need
The
to address the other
semifinals.
semifinals. Sorry, we need to touch on. We all agreed that the Straw Hats come out. So what do you see, Straw Hats Morons? Quick predictions here, boys. Maybe a
I
little
see
bit
the
of depth.
Moderns. I see the Moderns winning. I see the Moderns sweeping,
Yeah.
sweeping the Straw Hats. And I'm explaining to you why.
Yeah.
The the Moderns team, in my opinion, they are really good at getting space in offense, and once they get that space, Compass and mainly Compass and Pixel, like they play really well together, and they always find those gaps when teams play that post. And the thing about Straw Hats is they're a team based so much on formation, and they're a team that they aren't really aggressive on their defense, and that's something that I think that it's gonna end up costing them costing them the semifinals.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I kind of have a similar opinion. I think the Morons sweep the Straw Hats. I think we've seen some. First off, the Morons are very strong offensively. Some of the things that they're trying to do is they like to introduce fresh ideas. That's always been a thing that I feel like that group of players is focused on. And now they're introducing a lot of interesting stuff offensively, really trying to exploit teams kind of vertically, if that makes sense. And I think that they'll be able to shred apart the Straw Hats defense, which at the end of the day, I think the Morons have a way stronger defense and a more intimidating offense. So at the end of the day, I see a 2-0 sweep for the Morons. Josh, where are you at with that?
I mean, I think the Morons, we are gonna beat them 2-0, but I could see that going like 2 long OTs. I
Sure.
wouldn't be surprised if it was like 2 long overtimes or even 3.
Sure.
The thing about creating space, like I think both of you mentioned before,
Mm-hmm.
is like the greatest part of have Pixel and Compass on the same team. It's like they feel the game, they don't play robotically or mechanically. Like they adapt to every play.
Yeah.
They feel the game, the tempo stuff, and they adapt to that.
True.
So it pretty much makes the job for the backline really easy. I mean, not really easy, but really easier.
Right.
So that's the huge point I have then on team. So I think that's more than enough to create space to break the Straw Hats defense, which is not gonna be easy because they are pretty solid at defense and they are pretty dangerous on offense as well. They're pretty capable
Sure.
of making offensive plays.
Sure.
Especially with Feneria now on the back line, which has a pretty good vision of game, and I think he has a great chemistry with Bro. So they are the point of the Straw Hats is that therefore looks like they are really on the same page.
That's true.
So it's always tough playing a team like that. But I predict a 2-0 for Marons.
Okay. So real quick before we move on, let's talk about the history during the regular season. Worth mentioning, Morons Straw Hats, Morons are 2-0 against them. Actually, 1 OT win. Those actually happened the same day, if I recall correctly, with the lineups being respectively Pix, Rohan, Compass, Josh, up against Thunder, Scott, Crow, Finn. So yeah, that's just an interesting thing to note at the end there. So briefly, I don't think we should go into detail here about the finals. I just want to touch quickly on what everyone's prediction is, and then we'll just give a brief guess on how the finals go. So Josh and I have a Squares Morons final, and Saki has a Morons Bees final. I have a feeling where all of our predictions are going to go, but without predicting a final number of games, between Morons and Squares, who do you have winning it, Josh?
I get Marons. Yeah.
So I have Squares, shocker. And then Saki, who do you have between
That's
the
a big
Morons and the
shocker.
Bees?
I got the bees.
You got the Bees.
Yeah, I obviously got my team. Obviously.
So between the three of us, we've got the Josh representing the Morons thinks that they'll win the cup. I represent the Squares, think that they'll win the cup, and Saki representing the Bees thinks that they will win the cup. Shocking stuff here. Lots of controversy here on the Pod of Geese, man. Lots of controversy.
Yeah, we need a third opinion here. But he'll probably say that Marons would win, so you can take that in
Okay,
consideration.
that's not
You'll be
like if
wrong.
Under was here, like, cause he'd probably be. Anyway, let's look now a little window into D2. I know we focused on D1. Let's just look at their semifinals real quick. Predict what we think will happen there. Maybe touch on finals very quickly. I personally, I know that you guys don't either, but I don't know a whole lot about D2. But we have the rosters pulled up, and we can see that the D2 semifinals are shoot, where is it?
It's the Ballas versus the
Yes.
Red Pandas and the Typhoons versus the Hatchets.
Thank you. So first let's touch on Ballas Pandas. Let's look at those lineups. So with the Ballas, I immediately see kind of the Knights core along with G Baller, very strong in D2. And then their GK, I don't know what's going on. I guess it's a mix of 9 and Diego, probably 9. And then with the Pandas, I'm seeing famously Luke, the GM of that team. We got Daco, who is a retired player. We've got Game On. We've got Equal, and it looks like a mix between Heimer, Pats, and Bino. Who do you guys have there, just briefly?
Well, I'm a long time Pandas fan, but
Okay.
I gotta give it to the Ballas. They have the better players, and I do believe that they are more organized. So I think it's gonna be a 2-1 for the Ballas.
Sure.
I do think the Pandas are gonna be able to win the game.
Sure. Josh, who do you have?
Yeah, I don't see a close series here. I'm gonna go with two Bellas.
Yeah, I'm also on the same page. I love, I have a history with the pandas. In my Minecraft streams, we have Bitcoin and Beano, the two pandas in my beautiful home. But it's not really close. You've got the core of the Knights, minus to be fair, minus their best player, Shot. But at the end of the day, the Ballas are just too strong a team. I think they crushed the Pandas 2-0. Let's look at the Typhoons and Ratchets. So real quick roster breakdown. Typhoons, we have our fearless ex-commish, Nape. We have Ace, Rich, and then a mix between Ruxo and 48, though I believe, given some of the drama I've been around for, I believe 48 is their final starter. He's an old name, kind of back, a little rusty, but still a strong D2 player. Then we've got the Rhode Island Ratchets. I coach this team in SHHA, kind of. And so we have, for their lineup, we have Bedouin, Taka, famous D2 striker Danny, and Lavaldo. So very much an SHHA lineup coming up against a formidable age-old SPHB lineup. What do you guys see happening here?
You can go first. Yeah.
Actually, it's pretty tough just to talk about those teams because on the other series, I can really notice the difference like between the hosters and lineups.
Yeah.
At this one, it's tougher to say because when it's a close matchup, when you do compare the lineups, you gotta watch the recs, the replays to have actually
Right.
good opinion about that. And I
Right.
haven't watched any of the D2 games this season, but as I can see from from the stats and stuff,
Yeah.
I think the Ratchets got a pretty solid backup line with Takan and Bedouin.
Yeah.
They've been doing good this season.
That's
from
true.
what I've seen. But I'm gonna give that to Typhoons 2-1 probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
I mean Rich is more than capable of playing a playoff series, and especially in the two right now.
Right.
I don't even think he should be allowed to play in the two.
Yeah,
to
no.
be honest. But I see Nate being a good quality for D2GK, and Ace is a quite good, well-rounded player. And I haven't seen 48 on HTML Expo these days, but he
Yeah,
used to be a pretty solid D1 player
he's decent for D2 for
back on
sure.
Flash days.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he still probably know how to play the game. So comparing just about the lineups and in a playoff scenario, I'm gonna give it 2-1 Typhoons, but
yeah,
I
that's
can't
fair.
really know about the replays and stuff because I
Well,
haven't really watched.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning briefly that Nape and Rich were season 3 finalists. So obviously D1 finalists, sorry. So they've got some serious experience under their belts. Saki, do you know much about these teams, like where you can comment? Because I know
yeah.
you're relatively new to
Uh,
the NA scene, but
uh, from what I've seen, um, I know that the Typhoons are like really nice players. For example, I know that Rich can play D1 at a really high level, so he can handle D2 pretty easily. I think. I
Mhm.
haven't really watched the other team, but I know that they're solid, even in their defense and the way they run things offensively.
Mhm.
But the Ratchets, that's a team that I've actually watched more. Mainly because when I was coaching the Bears, we played versus them as well, and I watched them play, and I gotta say that the Bedouin and Taka backline really surprised me.
Yeah.
I think they're playing really well this season, and adding Danny to the mix of to being one of the forwards,
Mhm.
I think that the Ratchets are gonna take it to one.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take. Obviously, even statistically with Nape's breakdown that we saw in media, Bedwin has been a massive GK this season. I believe it's 7 clean sheets of his 12 games. Really impressive stuff there. I'd argue by far the most impactful GK in D2. You can also see that I believe Nape's stats showed that he had never lost a game in regulation as GK. So that's crazy. But yeah, so the Bedouin Taka backline is absolutely lethal, and you got Nape and Rich on the other side. I think that the Ratchets have more offensive firepower. I
For sure.
also love the Ratchet culture. As much as I love the Typhoons, um, I'm gonna have to drop it on the Ratchets 2-1. You know, sorry, Frank, another black man taken by the system. I know, but it's the Ratchets. I'm sorry. I think it's 2-1 to them. So I guess briefly we can do a little D2 final prediction because that will happen this Wednesday before our next recording. And so, Josh, between the Ballas and the Typhoons, who do you have? Who do you got?
Um, it's best of 5 for D2 as well.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna give you 2 Typhoons
Ooh, a little upset. Okay.
because I see. I mean, probably the only D2 games I've watched this season was the quarterfinal series that was streaming on YouTube
Yeah.
on HPC, right? Of Ballas, and they got this problem uh, with the reckless on the back line.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Reach can hold that with the forwards, which I think they're capable of, I think in a long series, they might be able to take that series from the coming from underdogs.
Sure.
So I'm gonna say 3-2 Typhoons. Yeah.
Okay. Saki, between the Ratchets and the Ballas, who do you have?
Um, I really love the guys at Ratchets, but
Yeah.
I gotta give it to the Ballers. I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be 3-1. I still think the
3-1.
the Ratchets are
Okay.
gonna be able to win the game, but overall, Ballers are just a better team overall, so they're just
Okay.
gonna take it.
That's fair. I'm also between Ballas and Ratchets. I'm gonna go just because I love the Ratchets. There are some members of the Ballas that I do not like, and so I'm just gonna put it out there. I got the Ratchets 3-2, baby. I got faith in the Danny forward. I
Uh,
got faith in the Taka Bedwin backline. Big Ratchet at the helm, keeping his boys engaged, motivated. I got the Ratchets 3-2 in the finals, dude. That's it. They're
That,
your D2 champs in my books. And
that's an
so,
interesting prediction.
good
Like
yeah,
to
I should
see
no.
how
say,
we all been. Good to see how we all been sharing the same opinion all the way through this podcast.
yeah, good to see we're on the same page. Yeah.
And so yeah, so we've got Josh. You said I think 3-2 Ballas, or sorry, 3-2 Typhoons, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then Taka had 3-1 Ratchets, and I had 3-2. Wait, sorry. Taka had 3-1 Ballas, and I had 3-2 Ratchets. All right, so that wraps up our D2 coverage. Finally, we'll do a brief little segment here on the D1 Award Frontrunners. We've laid out our personal favorites here at the Pod of Geese podcast. Do you say podcast at the end of that? I don't. Anyway.
Nah, you just
Part of
it's
Geese.
just say part of Geese,
Okay, so
that's it.
we've laid out our favorites here at Pod of Geese Productions, and so so for MVP, our three, we kind of just narrowed it down to three. We didn't believe in four here. We got Under, Crow, and Compass. I think those are easily the three top. I think MVP should always be a midfielder, pretty much, because it's easily the most important position in the game. We can see that even in in some of the weaker teams, as well as Team NA before Under had joined. For those of you that were around for that, I know Saki was. For forward of the year, we have Splat, Pixel, Jamar, and Luciano. I tried to fight it, man. I didn't want myself on there. I told him, no, guys, we need another representative. But
He's completely wanted to be there.
that is not okay. That is not fair.
Josh can back me up. My Portuguese brother can back me up.
It was completely otherwise, but
Yeah. He was
okay.
threatening to leave the show.
You guys are ridiculous.
He made some time to be the hoster for this podcast, so we gave him this spot.
You had to.
Which is fine.
It was a contractual obligation, actually. Yeah. So we had Splat, Pix, Jamar, and Luch. That's who we see going into this early preliminary voting. And then mid of the year we have Compass, the three MVPs plus Dabi, just because those are, in our opinion, the strongest mids plus the third place team. So Compass, Under, Crow, and Dabi there, and then GK of the year we have Josh, Carlitos, Yas, and Feneria. Feneria was a bit of a fringe pick because has he really had enough minutes to be GK of the year? I don't know.
I just want to point out that Tabi is a really strong DM. So I am a really strong mid. That's all I'm gonna say. He might even be better than one of those three in the list. So
Okay. I mean, do you want to add him to our? We only had three MVPs. We can make him the fourth MVP. We can addend that.
no, but
If I had to vote for a fourth, I'll put Pixel there.
Pixel?
Yeah.
That's fair. I've seen plenty of. I've actually seen. You know what I've seen a lot of? I've seen a lot of Splat nominations for MVP. I've seen a lot of people nominating Splat.
the only thing I don't put.
The thing with
But-
Splat that we mentioned here, it's the thing about the balance. I think he's much more of the forward of the year than an MVP.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I guess, yeah, but I mean, he has been, I guess, integral to all of CCK's success. But anyway, we'll do Splat / Pix. We can agree on that middle ground. So we've addended our MVP to Under, Crow, Compass, Splat / Pix. Okay.
I just don't want to. I don't think that Tabi should be on the MVP run because I do think that the Bees didn't have the best of seasons. I think the Bees would have done a way better season than they did. So that's literally the only reason I wouldn't put him as a front runner for MVP.
Right. And well, we've talked about it a little bit behind the scenes, but like if Saki had played more, I think that he would be in the MVP race for sure. Saki actually was kind of just saying that over and over and over. He was like, I should be MVP, but I didn't play enough.
Yeah.
He just kept saying that. He actually kind of threatened to leave.
I did not say that. I'm really humble.
He threatened to leave. He actually said that if you put Dabi over me for MVP, I will just leave the VC. I don't know why Saki's acting that way, but
It is Luciano trying to bring some toxicity to the Bees locker room. we get to see scared. He's scared.
I try to win the series, but I gotta guarantee it, man. I'm nervous.
Yo,
nervous.
He's
If you're
scared
meant
for the series.
if you're meant to be toxic here, reminder, Saki called the squares way too predictable.
That's
and
true.
Lush called a bit shit against the best teams. So, and they are
I
playing
put it
each
on a
other on the
statistic.
finals.
I put a
So stay
statistic
tuned
out
for
there.
that series.
Now with Saki, I think the Bees are a real threat. I think that it's a lot closer with him in. But focusing on this bit, those are our. Wait, I just covered mid of the year or GK of the year? Mid of the year. So GK of the year we had. I think I've already touched it, but we got Josh, Carlitos, Yas, and Feneria.
You see the Josh bar there?
Yeah, Josh.
Josh is-
We have Josh, Yas, and Feneria, right?
Yeah.
We got two
We have
Joshes.
Yeah, for sure.
One's Brazilian and then one's part of the best country in the world. And
I don't
then
think that Josh is better though.
Okay, then vote for him. It's all good.
I
Vote
will.
for him. And then we've got fifth man of the year. We've got Saki, Rohan, Star, Ace, and Big Fat Snoozy in there
I
because
don't
late in the
want my
season.
name in the list. Just saying.
You what?
I did not want my name in the list.
I know because you want it to be in the MVP list. I get that. Like,
No, I obviously didn't want to be an MVP.
oh man, yeah. I think you belong in the list. In fact, everybody in the league agrees that we probably don't even need to have a round of voting. Rohan literally said that. But yeah, so y'all have any thoughts on awards, or we just want to leave it in the air and touch on the finalists next week?
Yeah, I think we should just leave on
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Sure.
rest for the next one.
Let's get more into the next week, like with a better
sure.
analysis of stats and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So Josh kind of alluded to it. I will also have my media out at some point. Hopefully by next weekend. About voting for awards. Actually, probably shortly because I want people to have it for the first round of voting. But I've compiled my stats again, just like last season. I just want to announce that briefly. And before we close up the podcast, let's have a little second here for some shout outs. Josh, you got anyone you're trying to shout out here?
Yeah. I'm gonna shout out first you guys for making time and make the this thing work with me. Actually wasn't a joke idea, but at the end ended up working. And
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
pretty good, pretty fun. My team as well, the Angry Morons,
Mhm.
Compass, Pixel, Ron, Chris, KP, and Rich, and my good pals Metro, Sal, Dabi, and Splat.
Good shout outs. All good shout outs. Saki, you got anyone you're trying to shout out?
I'm gonna shout out KL for disappearing mid Division 2 playoffs and making the Bears lose. I'm just saying that the KL should have done a lot better this season and they really disappointed me. But
Yeah.
shout out to them.
Fuck
Shout out to,
KL.
yeah, relax, kid.
Fuck KL.
Don't say that. There's gonna be emotional after saying this. Even then, shout out to my team, obviously, the cup winners of season of season 5.
You see him showing out the Angry Morons as well? Thanks.
At least
appreciate it.
finalists for sure. Finalists for sure.
All right, man. We'll see.
Yeah, that's everyone's shout out actually.
I have a couple shout outs here. First, I'd like to shout out the GOAT, KPA, easily the greatest of all time. Even though he is a moron and is benched, kind of a big mistake by the morons, kind of dumb. I'd like to shout out Wild Turkey.
Wait, the playoffs.
We will see. I'd like to shout out Wild Turkey, Daisy Marola, and Blessed. I'm doing this strictly because he offered to pay for me to buy some alcohol. That's the only reason I'm doing this. And if he doesn't, I'm blocking him. And then I'd like to shout out all of the squares except for Under because I hate him.
I forgot to shout out Under's Witcher streams. That's it.
Under's my Witcher streams though. They're
Yeah, your Witcher streams though. It's literally just like chest gameplay. You're just looking for chest. Like it's not even fun to watch.
looting gameplay.
Yeah, just looting. Like
Look, dude, I'm a loot goblin, but Geralt's got to get paid for his work. That's what Witchers
what
do.
about Roach? Like no one talks about Roach, and they really deserve it. It's one of the best.
Roach is
Yeah,
still
it's the
different.
best ones. Yeah, well,
We're currently part of a plot, but anyway, those were our shout outs. I think that wraps up our pod of Geese. This was week 1. We'll be back next week we've got some plans for some analysis, some talks about awards, etc. And yeah, we hope that y'all enjoyed and that you come back next week. I guess that's it. Peace.
yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Yeah.
Yeah,
ya.
thanks for everyone who made it all the way to the end. See you next week.
Yes, sir. Oh, if you made it to the end, ping us and say like, I don't what should they say? We got to know who are the real ones, Josh. Like
What if they just skip it all the way to the end though?
well, then they're not the real ones. But the real ones, I need you to like ping us and say like, I'm a goose. Yeah.
And those people are automatically gonna enter a giveaway. Maybe Luciano is gonna give away a card.
Oh my God. I literally don't have a job right now. I don't know that.
pretty much everyone who liked this. Don't vote for Luciano as Ford of
What
the
the
year.
fuck? Okay, wait. Hold on, dude. That's tox. That's very tox.
Okay.
I gotta agree with Josh here.
If
He
you
has a
have
good point.
any ideas or suggestions for the next
Next
week, feel
episode,
free to reach any of us on through the DM. So
Yes, absolutely. If you have any suggestions, reach out to any one of us individually. And then again, ping us in lounge and say that I'm a goose if you made it this far, if you listened to the whole thing, because that makes you part of the Cool Kids Club. And yeah, that'll be it for us for this week. And hope to see you next.
See you everyone.
Sure. Peace.